So, hello and welcome to my fabulous confabulation. So, in my last post, I said that I would be chatting with Lisa Hall. Unfortunately, I'm not able to chat with her today, hopefully in the future, but I have Miss Karen Vaughn with me to talk about leadership.
Hi everyone.
Hi. So,
This is new to me, so I'm gonna follow your cues. So
okay.
yes.
Alright, so can you just tell me a little bit about yourself, like what you do?
Okay. So I'm definitely a multifaceted person. So I am a mom. I have 4 children. I have a 8-year-old twins, a 7-year-old, and I have a 21-year-old in college. I'm married, and I work full-time at a community college as a director, and I'm also a full-time student. I'm pursuing a doctoral degree in higher education leadership. So I have a pretty busy life, but I am so happy to be here today with you.
Yes, and I'm happy to have you.
Thank you.
So you mentioned leadership.
Mhm.
So can you just define what a leader is to you?
So I think leadership means different things to different people, and I wanted to just make sure I got mine correctly. So my definition of leadership, which I actually had to do for a class, my first class in the program back in August. So I'm going to read it. And for me, leadership is the practice of inspiring, developing, and motivating others to create transformational change by empowering and challenging them to accomplish a shared goal and reach their full potential. But like I said, I think people define leadership differently. And I think for some people, they feel that in order to be a leader, you need to be designated with a title. So
That's
you're
very true.
a manager, a vice president, a teacher, etc. But my philosophy is that anyone and everyone can be a leader. Like you can be a leader, even though you're still in high school. There's so many things that you can do to establish yourself as a leader and to develop your leadership skills and to make a difference.
Yeah, that's very true. So you said that everyone has their own definition of a leader. So basically, mine would be a leader is someone who gives back. That's who I think a leader is, and who inspires and motivates the people around them. And I think that they take control, not as like being bossy, but as far as if they see a situation, then they take charge to try to make the situation better or make it better.
I agree, because I think different situations require you to be different types of leadership. So for example, in some situations, you might be in a position where, like you said, you're just kind of motivating a group of people to do something, to accomplish a shared goal. But in other situations, you might be in a position where you need to make that decision, kind of like the buck stops with you, and you need to be the one to say, no guys, this is what we're going to do, and this is how we're going to get from point A to point B. And I think a good leader needs to understand kind of which strategy to use in which situation. So you need to be able to kind of go back and forth and flip-flop between different types of leadership styles. And I'm not gonna get too deep on you with it, but as you get older, or if you want to do research, you can read up on the different types of leadership styles. But you need to know which situation requires you to do what. And I think that's one of the keys to being a successful leader.
That's very true. So now, did you have any leadership skills, or did you do any leadership when you were younger?
So, if you'd asked me this question probably maybe a year ago, I would probably say no. I was not a leader as a child. But, over the past 6 months, I've really had to dig deeply in terms of understanding my development as a leader. And I'll tell you a little bit about my background. So for me, looking back on it, I think that I was definitely a leader as a child. When I was probably about 14 years old, And I'm from the Caribbean, so I was born there. I came to this country when I was 15. So probably around 13 or 14, my mom left. So my mom left us. It was part of our plan. So my mom left and came to the United States, and I'm the eldest of three. And we lived with our dad back home. And, try to imagine at 13 years old, always having your mom around, and then suddenly, being put in a position where you're kind of now in charge of your family, because my dad worked a lot, and I'm only a year younger than my brother and 2 years younger than my sister, so needed to make sure that my brother and my sister got up in the morning, got to school. When we came home from school, that we ate, did homework, kind of helped my dad, kind of prepare dinner. And I even had to learn how to go food shopping, on my own. So looking back on that, I think that, I was a leader. It's like how many 13-year-olds can kind of step into that role and be successful in it. So I say all of that to say, yes, I think that I was a leader when I was younger.
Yeah, because like you said, a leader is anything really,
exactly.
It's a broad concept.
Exactly.
So, can you name a person who had a tremendous impact on you as a leader?
So, I think that we have a lot of people that we can kind of look to in our society today. Whether we look at former President Barack Obama, we look up to him as a leader. Even if we look back at some historical figures, we look at Dr. King, Malcolm X, etc. But personally, for me, I think my parents probably had the biggest impact in terms of who I look up to as leaders. I shared a little bit about my story. So we came to this country when I was 15 years old, and I thought about the choices my parents, and we came here so we can get a better education, me, my younger brother and sister. And as an adult, I try to put myself in my parents' shoes. My parents had great jobs, we had a nice house, we lived a pretty good life. And to just kind of pack your life up at their age, in their 30s, and pack your kids up and say, we're gonna move to this totally different country that we've never visited, we know nothing about, and we're gonna pack our lives up, whatever we can fit in these suitcases, and we're going to start over. And my dad just retired in December. My parents have done well. My brother, my sister, and I are all college educated. We have degrees, etc. I'm in school right now. And so I really admire my parents in that sense, because I think it took having strategy in terms of what was best for their family, and also being able to take risks. As a leader, there are times where you're going to have to take those risks. And my parents did that, and it paid off well for them. I think so. They believe so, they own their own home, etc. And they've done well. But that's who my biggest role models are in terms of leaders.
Yeah, that's good. They were brave and they took a risk.
Exactly.
Not knowing what to expect.
We're just going to step out on faith, and we're going to see how this works out. But they had a plan in mind, and their plan was, we're going to the United States so our kids can have access to better educational opportunities.
Yeah, that's good, because I feel like a lot of people in my generation too, especially, we set dreams for ourselves, and then we're like, it's too risky, I don't want to do it anymore, and hold back. So we don't accomplish our dreams much.
Yeah, and another part of that too is, I think, especially for young people and for adults too, you need to write those dreams down, because once you start putting them down on paper, you start formulating plans around them. And eventually your plan gets to, well, how am I going to accomplish this? So in order to get from that dream stage to that reality stage where you see that dream fulfilled, you have to have a plan in between there. And I think that's a major step in doing that. Just so, yeah, dreams are great, but write them down and start putting plans to them. And then, you know, sometimes you just gotta jump out there. I know, like for me, and we'll digress a little bit, like for school, like I've always wanted to get my doctoral degree. It's something that my dad wanted for me since I was, you know, an undergrad in school. And it was like, oh, it's never a good time to do it, etc. But I'm like, I'm just gonna jump in and I'll see, I'll sink or I'll swim. But again, it was always a dream, and I'm like, at some point in time, you have to take that risk and you have to put yourself out there. Exactly.
Yeah. So, what is one characteristic that you believe every leader should have?
It's kind of hard to pick one.
Okay.
So I've got a couple of favorites, and they're not necessarily in order of importance. But I think you need to have integrity. You need to be ethical.
Okay.
You need to be trustworthy. People will not follow you if they don't trust you. And that's just in general. If I don't trust you, I'm not going where you tell me to go. I'm not doing what you tell me to do. So I think, you know, those are at least for me, those are some of the important ones. And I think also you need to have empathy. You need to be able to put yourself in the shoes of other people. You know, so those are the ones that are important to me.
Okay. So, what is one mistake you witness leaders make more frequently than others, including yourself?
I would say for me, one of the mistakes I've made along the way, and I'm still learning, I remember back when I worked in corporate, and I had this idea that being a leader meant, again, we talked about it earlier, like you need to be in charge of something. You need to be in charge of people. And I think what I was doing was I was confusing being a manager with being a leader. And I think that oftentimes people do that. I think people think that because they have this title, that everyone is just gonna fall in line and do what they said to do, which never ever works out to be the case. Either that or you got like unhappy people following you and they're only doing it because of a paycheck or because they think they're gonna get something out of it. I think oftentimes people don't remember that they're asking people to do something and they need to get, you know, the individuals that they're leading to trust them, etc. So hope that made sense.
Yes, that did. That made sense. So, what are you doing to ensure you continue to grow and develop as a leader?
So I said I work at a community college, and it is probably the absolute best. It's the best job I've had in my entire career, hands down. I don't make as much money as I made in corporate, but definitely working with young people, I learn something every day, and I learn a lot from them. And working with college-age students helped me develop my leadership skills, because again, remember, it's not just about, oh, I say, Jamila, you need to do this, 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 and this, and you do it. So working with them helped me develop my skills and hone them in terms of how do I move them forward, whether we're working on a project, whether we're working on an event, or whether it's something that benefits them in terms of staying in school, transferring to a four-year institution, etc. So it's how to get people to trust you and trust what you're saying that they should do, etc. So for me, that's a big part of it. And as I said, I'm also in school. It's just something that I'm passionate about, and I think you're never too old to learn something new. And I'm really enjoying being back in school. And my first class actually was leadership theory. So that's where the stuff I read from you, I actually read for you. It's stuff I actually did for my class. So it's coming in handy still.
Yes. So with your college, students, do you have a good relationship with them?
I do. I really do. So I have students that are currently at I work at Raritan Valley Community College. I have students that are currently at RVCC that I work with right now. It's funny, my students are not on because I'm not friends with them on Facebook. We're only friends on Instagram. But they'll call me mom, they'll call me auntie. Because they kind of someone that they trust me and they look up to me. And I also have relationships with students that have already graduated, so I'm still in contact with students even though they're alumni because of the relationship that I was able to establish with them. So just today I had a visit from one of my favorite students who's now at Rutgers University, and he came to campus to visit. So I think I do have a great relationship with the students that I'm involved with and engaged with on campus.
And that just shows that you are being a leader.
I hope so.
You are, yeah. So, can you tell me why you think it is important to give back to your community?
So I'm going to say, for me, I first started getting involved in community service when I was in college. This was 23 years ago. And one of my favorite places that I volunteered at when I was an undergrad student was I went to Syracuse University, and I volunteered at the Syracuse Housing Authority. And I worked with high school students, middle school students, just kind of helping them with homework, after school activities. We took them on like college tours, etc. And it's interesting that I'm still in contact with my first mentee. She lives in Hawaii, and we're friends we kind of reconnected on Facebook. But that's how I kind of got involved. But for me, just my journey in terms of, coming to this country when I was 15 years old and just being able to survive living in Brooklyn, in Crown Heights, they were drug dealers down the block, up the block, etc. And just being able to kind of survive that environment, survive high school, go through college, etc. I felt that it was important to me to help other people like myself. So I've always been involved in giving back. It's not always been through an organization, and that's what I need people to understand. You don't have to be a part of an organization to give back. You can give back however you want to give back. So for me, after college, it was like I would help people with filling out college applications. A lot of times when immigrants come to this country, the entire process of our educational system about applying to college is so intimidating to them. And I remember when I was going to school, my parents were clueless about what to do and the entire college process because we were only living here for 3 years. And that's how I started helping other young people. I was like, yeah, I'll help you fill out your college application. I'll help their parents with their financial aid application, etc. And that kind of grew into other things. I'm a member of, which I haven't been able to participate as much as I used to because of school. I'm a member of a Lions Club in Brooklyn, and we do a lot of community service projects. We do stuff with shelters for women and children who are victims of domestic violence. We feed the homeless. You name it, we do stuff with the environment, etc. So that's giving back through an organization, but just also as an individual. I think my job, my position where I am allows me to give back every day. If I can help a student get through their time at RVCC and watch them graduate and transfer to college, I've made a difference. Even if I've helped 2 students, I feel like I've made a difference. So again, it goes back again to that concept of leadership,
And
it's what it is.
how does it make you feel, like, to see, like, your students, like?
Very proud. So I call my students, they're my kids. They're my work kids. But I also also feel really blessed to be in a position where I can help a young person, even if it's just by giving them advice. But that required, which I've learned, because I wasn't always like this, that requires you to share pieces of yourself and share pieces of your journey, because I think young people are a lot more open to you if they can relate to you. So this is how I dress to go to work. So for some college students, this is intimidating. But then when I share with them that this is what my journey's been, this is where I come from, they kind of like, okay. And they look at me as, well, if you can get to this point where you have a job where you can dress like this and come to work, and you have 2 degrees and you're working on a 3rd degree, they see themselves in me, and they see themselves in the future being successful and being able to accomplish their own dreams. So I think just being a good role model, because you never know who's looking at you, is something that I try to be.
Yeah. So you mentioned that when you lived in Brooklyn, there was like drug dealers and all that. How did you like stay away from that stuff? Like, how did you?
I think my family was pretty important in that. My parents always instilled in us, like we're here for a reason, and your reason is to go to school and to get a college degree. That was, going to college was never ever, it was never optional for us. I mean, granted, my parents didn't know how they were going to make it happen, but it was, all 3 of you, you're going to go to college. And so for us, for my brother, my sister, and I, and we all didn't have the same journey. Like, my brother has taken side tracks and whatever, but we kind of all ended up where our parents envisioned for us. But for us, it was just kind of like, education was the key to getting out of this environment. Education was the key out of Crown Heights. Is that true for everyone? Not necessarily, depending on their situation. Some individuals have so many negatives happening in their life that they can't even fathom, like, okay, how is going to school going to help make my life better? But I believe that educate, with access to education, having a degree or having a skill, whether you go to school and learn a trade, how to be a plumber, cosmetology, or whatever, it definitely makes your life better, and it makes your family's life better. So that's my philosophy. Some people may disagree with it, but I'm going to hold on to it.
Okay, so basically education kept you away from all the distractions. That's good. Because sometimes, like you said, sometimes education, it's not the number 1 priority.
No, it's not. Yeah.
And they get drawn into these distractions.
They do. You get caught up by, I want nice stuff right now.
Yeah.
Man, boy, was I a poor college student. Like, I really, really was. But I don't regret it.
Yeah, okay. So, what is a project that you want to do but haven't yet?
Okay. I've got lots of those, but I think probably the one that's nearest and dearest to me, and I always tell my husband this, I'm like, if I had $1 million, or if I were to like win the lottery or something, and I'm sure I'll accomplish this without winning the lottery, but I would love, and this is me dreaming big, right? I would love to set up a foundation that would work with young people to, number 1, prepare them for college, but also support them through getting their college education, whether it's financially, emotionally, academically, etc. I mean, where I am, I work at a community college, which is very different from a 4-year school. So students at community colleges come with all sorts of different types of things they're dealing with. A couple of semesters ago, one of my students walked into my office and was like, I'm homeless. I'm sleeping in my car.
Oh, wow.
You know, and I'm like, man, if I had something like that in place, I would be able to help this student. I was able to kind of help her through navigating through the resources we have at work, but those are real issues that I think in the community we live in here in Jackson, we may not necessarily see, but those are real things that some students grapple with, whether it's homelessness, whether it's poverty or not having money to get back and forth to school, not having money to buy food while they're at school, not being able to afford tuition. Where I am, there are a lot of students that, though they want to go to school, but they can't afford to pay for school. And then there's so many other issues. There are students who are undocumented, which means they don't get financial aid. So as a young person in our experiences here in our community, we kind of don't think about those things, but they're happening right here in New Jersey.
Yeah.
So.
And sometimes you don't even know.
No, you don't.
It's like,
It's based on what you've been exposed to, and I think you're fortunate enough to live in the community and the environment that you live in. But there's so many, young people living in other places that are dealing with other issues that are really preventing them from getting that degree and kind of moving their life forward. So for me, if I could help them financially, that would be something that would be amazing. I haven't put it down on paper yet. I think I should probably take my own advice and do so.
That's good.
So, but
that's good.
That's one of the big things.
Yeah, like sometimes you don't know like what a person is going through. So the student that told you that, some people don't like to share that they're going through things.
But see, it goes back to that establishing trust. Now, if the young lady didn't trust me, would she have told me that? Probably not. So you need to be able to establish trust in the people that you're leading. I think because we had that trust, she felt comfortable enough coming to me to say, hey, I have this problem. Can you help me? And obviously, we didn't talk about this earlier. I'm like, yeah, I'll help you, which meant I gave her my word, which meant I needed to follow through on it. And thankfully, I was able to. And she actually got straight A's in her classes that semester. She's since graduated, and now she wants to be a pharmacist, so she is enrolled in school upstate New York in a pharmacy program.
Wow. And that's why you need to do the foundation, because you're trustworthy and people trust you, I think.
Yeah. It's just about making a difference and helping other people accomplish their dreams, their dreams of getting an education.
So, what activities bring you joy that you want to make sure people in the future can do?
What activities bring me joy? Okay, is this a general question or is this a leadership question?
Do both.
That's a tough one, Jamela, because there are a lot of things that I like to do. I just don't have the time to do it. But I think for people to be able to follow their dreams, I'm blessed that I'm able to do so. Like, I've got these dreams that I want to do this and I want to do this. So far, I've been pretty good. But I know there are a lot of people out there that have dreams that may not even be as humongous as mine. For some of them, it's just kind of like, I want to be able to go to school, or I want to graduate from high school, or whatever. And it's not necessarily an activity, but I think just being able to live in a country and in a society that really says to people that you can be anything you want to be, you can accomplish your dreams, you can accomplish your goals, etc. I hope that answers your question.
Yes.
Yeah.
So do you have a favorite leadership quote?
I do, and I wrote it down. So I'm gonna tell you a little story about this quote. So Back in 2012, I did this. This was a year-long leadership program. It was called Leadership Somerset. So I work in Somerset County, and for graduation, you had to like say what your favorite leadership quote was. So I'm sitting there in graduation. Of course, I didn't do it ahead of time, you know. And I'm like Googling and like nothing's really, you know, like you Google leadership quotes and you'll get like a whole list of stuff, but nothing was really resonating with me. And then I came across this quote by John Quincy Adams that says, if your actions inspire others to dream more, learn more, do more, and become more, you're a leader. And my definition of leadership that I read, to answer the first question you asked me, this is kind of the foundation that I built it on. And I say all of that to say that as you grow, your definition of leadership should grow. So it should change, it should broaden, it should expand. Some of the things that you may believe a leader is when you're 25 may not be the same things you believe when you're 35. And again, it's the process of learning and gaining new experiences, but your definition of leadership and who you are as a leadership should expand and it should broaden. So this was kind of where I started with mine the first time someone says, well, what's your favorite leadership quote? And I'm kind of still building on it.
That's good.
Yeah.
So when you travel in your community or around the world, what groups do you see that are treated unfairly or need extra help?
I think that in the society we live in today, there are lots of groups of people that are marginalized, and I think oftentimes people may think of that maybe in terms of race. Yeah, but it's not necessarily in terms of whether it's African Americans or Latinos or Muslims, etc. It's not necessarily in terms of race. It's in terms of you think of able-bodied people versus disabled people. You know, you think of individuals' socioeconomic status, those that have money, those that don't have money, and I would probably say. As a young person, and if we had to apply it to where you are, I think that you need to be a little social justice minded. So it doesn't have to be groups of people that you want to do something to make a difference. It could be you want to do something to change the environment. You want to do something in terms of poverty. You want to do something in terms of obesity. So there's so many things, and there's so many kind of challenges and issues in our society, and different people that are marginalized in our society that we may not necessarily think of based on our own little Jackson community. But I will say this, as you travel, and travel is important. I think traveling and being able to travel outside of the U.S. gives you a totally different perspective on your life, and it really does. And I think if there's one thing that you do, if you can afford to, travel, because when you travel, you really put in perspective what you have and the kind of life you have versus the lives that other people are living, and that doesn't stop them from dreaming and wanting more. So in terms of your community, get outside of your community, which I know you do because you give back a lot. But you know, think of it outside of the box. Don't always look for, okay, I need to do something to help people that are, you know, less fortunate or whatever. There's so much that needs to be done in our society. Exactly.
So do you have any tips for people who want to be a leader? Like who are asking, where do I start? How can I be a leader?
It goes back to the last question you asked. I think be observant. If you see an issue, you see a problem, jump in, fix it, or try to fix it, or try to get a group of people together to fix it. Don't. And I think oftentimes, we'll see a problem. We're like, yep, that's a problem. That's a problem. We sit back. We're waiting. Like,
Right.
okay, we're waiting on someone to fix
Complain
it.
about
We're
it.
waiting on our elected officials to fix it, or I'm gonna wait on my parents to do something about it. And it goes back to what I said. Everyone can be a leader, and being a leader, again, it's about wanting to make a difference and wanting to change something, and getting other people to help you change. And oftentimes you may have to start out doing it on your own before you get other people to kind of rally around you. But I would say, even in your schools, just be social justice minded and look for areas in which you can make a difference. I hope that's helpful.
Yes, and also, can you give a little bit of advice on how you didn't get like other people's discouragement to affect you, like doing your dreams and stuff like that?
So I've learned a long time ago that it's important to kind of surround yourself with people that are supportive of you. I'll tell you this, I don't have a humongous group of friends. I have a really core group of friends, and some of my friends I've known, we've been friends since I was 10 years old. But I try to surround myself with people that are supportive of me, but also people that are honest. So if I'm doing something like really, really dumb, they're gonna say, Karen, that's not smart at all. And I also have this other group of people that kind of push me. So it's kind of like they're here, and I'm constantly, they're pushing me, and I'm looking, and we're moving like this. Because if everyone in your social circle is exactly where you are, who's motivating you to go to the next level?
Right.
So, and my groups of friends, they don't ever intermingle at all. But I've got this group that's always kind of motivating and pushing me. I know in terms of even being in school right now. I'm in school today because a really good friend of mine was like, the application is due on such and such date. Here's the link. Fill it out and send it in. Because in my mind, I'm like, okay, it's not the right time. Can I fit this in? I don't know if I'm going to do it, etc. I haven't been in school in 20-something years. Oh my God, I don't even know how to be a student. But because I had that person and some other people that's like, yeah, you can do it. You need to do this. You need to do that. I think that motivated me. But at your network, I call them my network, my group. They kind of keep me grounded, and they're supportive. Also, I think sometimes we need to be mindful of the people that are going to discourage us. So I figured out how to get over that a long time ago. So, and you will at some point. You wonder, well, what are they going to think? Am I crazy for doing this, etc.? And you kind of need to figure out who those people are in your circle. And sometimes they don't need to be in your circle anymore. So that's what works for me. My parents are very supportive. My husband's extremely supportive. And, your mom is very supportive. So I remember like my first class that I took in my program, literally I wanted to quit every day. I'm being honest. I'm being transparent. I want every single day. My class was 8 weeks long, and every single day I'm like, I can't do this. I can't do this. And my circle just kept saying, nope, you can do it. You can do it.
Right.
You'll get through it. You can do it. You can do it. And then I moved on to my second class, and I'm like, all right, maybe I wanted to quit like once every 2 weeks. Then my following class, I was like, oh, I don't feel like quitting anymore. But again, just kind of having that support system. And if you can't find it in your family, you find that support system wherever you can find it, whatever that meets that need for you.
And that's good you brought up a friends group, because I'm in high school, and like that plays a big part in our lives. So a lot of people rely on friends. So and they take their friends' opinion very seriously. And sometimes they hang out with the friends who just tell them what they want to hear and stuff like that.
And then I think also for you, you know, you're in high school and you're going to be going to college soon. Are your friends thinking about going to college? Are your friends talking about going to college? Are you guys talking about, you know, what schools we want to visit, or are you studying for the SATs? If that's not what your circle is doing and you want to go to college, you might need to find a different circle. You know, that's you guys are all kind of on the same page and you're motivating each other and you're kind of helping each other get through high school and get to the point where, okay, we got to go through this college application process, and which is a long and time-consuming and stressful process. And then we also need to get through this process of, okay, we're going to get to college. And then when you get to college, you're going to meet a new group of people that's going to help you get through those 4 years. Because trust me, you don't do it on your own. I don't know anyone that's done it on their own. I'm sure they're out there. I just don't know them. I know the friends that I've made in college are still really good friends with me. Like, we're great friends today because we help each other. We helped each other get through those 4 years. So your circle is extremely important.
Yeah, I definitely believe that. I have a good.
And get a mentor. Multiple ones if you can. Everyone should have a mentor. It's important. And you can have multiple ones for multiple reasons. And then, you know, as you kind of move up and you start getting into your career, you'll understand the difference between, you know, having a mentor and then also someone who can advocate for you. And those are two different people. You're the person that can advocate for you is the person that will call up and say, hey, I have this young lady, her name is Jamila, and I know you have a job opening, and I need you to see her, right? Your mentor may not be able to do it. Your mentor will help you figure out what you need to say when you go to that meeting, etc. But that advocate person is going to be the person that can kind of help you open some doors and get to some places. And you'll see sometimes they're different people. But for you right now, it is important. It is extremely important to have a mentor or multiple ones.
Yes. Thank you.
You're welcome.
So I have no more questions for you.
Okay, good. This is good. I enjoyed it. Thank you.
So we're going to see if any of the viewers have any questions. So, let's see.
Oh, wow.
I don't think there's any questions. That's okay. You touched base on a lot of stuff, so that was very good. So thank you for chatting with me.
Thank you for having me. I'm so honored to be like your first guest. You know, definitely, I would love to come back and chat with you, especially for something that I know what I'm talking about. So thank you for having me, and good luck. I really, really admire what you're doing. I think so many, especially young women, need this kind of stuff that kind of reaffirms us and tell us, like you said, we're smart, we're beautiful, we're strong, we can be whatever we want to be. And so you having this forum where you kind of bring people to expose other young women to, and maybe young men too, I think is extremely important. Because sometimes maybe something someone says may kind of trigger something in someone watching, and you know, it'll be confirmation for them that they can do something.
And that's basically what it's about.
Definitely. I'm proud of you for kind of stepping out there and doing it. It's called being a leader.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
And I just want to thank the viewers for watching. There'll definitely be more of this. But before we go, I have a little something for you.
Oh, surprises.
For coming here and chatting with me under short notice.
Oh.
So, thank you.
You know I'll do anything for you. Plus, you're going to feed me, right? That's a no. Okay. I'm kidding.
Okay.
Another plan. Thank you. Oh my God, I love this. Okay, hugs. Thank you so much. And no, I haven't killed the other plant your mom gave me either. I love this. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
You're welcome.
I am so proud of you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And watch for another interview next month.